I'll be talking about how important the very moment that you're in now, and of course this next now that's right now, and they keep going. In other words, how important your present moment is. That's what I'll be talking about today here. The value of now and the value of hybrid contextual awareness that we can start taking advantage of with the smartphones that are in our pockets, and another topic which I call the context war. A little bit of history on me, not going so far back as the Scythe. We'll go back to 1998 in North America when Philips decided to compete for control of the digital living room. They were competing against Sony, Mitsubishi, Matsushita, Hitachi, the Apple, Microsoft. Everybody thought they wanted to own the digital living room and be able to somehow or another monetize people's attention when they're relaxing, listening to music, watching television. So 4 other people and I were asked to come up with a strategy for Philips to deal with that. What we came up with was the Philips Ambient Intelligence strategy. By 2001, it had been adopted by Philips worldwide. A couple of years later, it was adopted by the EU for the 6th framework as a guide for how to invest in high technology. Only now are a great many of the elements of the ambient intelligence strategy being used across the globe in corporate planning. So it was an accomplishment that was a bit before its time, but one I'm proud of. Farther back in history, my hero is Alfred Whitehead, a British theorist and writer who grew up during the previous technological revolution, the revolution of the age of steam, the Industrial Revolution. He was able to, because he watched the transitions, the changes in tools, the developments of the affordances of our daily lives, because of these new tools that were introduced, he was able to see and think about how society would be changed. And one of the points that he realized, one of the points that he made, was that civilization advances by extending the number of important operations that we can perform without thinking about those. Now that's what that smartphone in your pocket will very soon be able to do. I'll be talking about that later. The point is to not interrupt you when something needs to be done, but allow you to stay on task, allow you to maintain your focus, and then when some kind of an assistive technology does need to help you for some good reason, then and only then are you interrupted, and interrupted minimally by the right medium at the right time for the right amount of interruption. That's a benefit. That's doing it in such a way that doesn't spike your cognitive load in your moment, in the now, keeping the value of your now, your performance in the now, as high as possible at all times. Now we have a context awareness timeline here, which probably isn't readable at your distance. If you'd like the slides, just let me know. The next major development in terms of context awareness and supportiveness for the individual user was the invention of the secretary. I don't know when somebody invented the secretary. What a wonderful thing. That person is obviously quite intelligent. That person is able to assist the employer and anticipate the employer's needs in a way that's subtle, that's supportive, that's not interruptive any more than necessary. And now we can start to put some of that kind of functionality into our tools, into the smartphone that's in our pocket. The company Siri, which you can see farther over to the right, was a spin out from Stanford SRI International, which ran the world's largest artificial intelligence project. It was run in the United States, I believe funded by the Defense Department. So it spun out some of the artificial intelligence tools and functionality from that project, and within less than 6 or 8 months after Siri became an independent company, Apple Computer was paying sufficient attention to realize we need that functionality in our smartphone, and bought the company. Other processes are going on in parallel with that. What I can tell you now is that those other processes currently amount today to what I call the context war. The war between devices that can help you, devices that are contextually aware of your life, your goals, your plans, and your history in order to assist you going forward every day. So we're enmeshed in that context war right now. It's between primarily 2 platforms, the Android platform and the iPhone platform. There are other players. The interesting thing about this war is that it's playing for more value. It's a war for the biggest land grab opportunity, land rush, gold rush in modern technology history, in my estimation. Because if you're one of the providers, either on the Apple side or the Android side, of the kinds of contextually aware supportive services mediated through and gathered by your cell phone for every individual, that individual is going to come to have an extremely tight relationship with you. And just like David was saying, the authenticity, the provision of value to that end individual, that end user, why would you want to give that up? What that then means is you would be able, as a provider of those contextually aware services, to build a relationship with the user for their lifetime and then monetize that. Monetize that for you yourself as the vendor, but also for the individual. Like we heard yesterday, the co-creation, the collaboration of gathering information, filtering information, seeking patterns, and then creating value from that that value must also return to the individual too. It must be shared. That's why and how such a plan could possibly be successful. It can't just be in the interest of the corporation providing the service.